Hi, my name is Nicole, and I am an intuitive energy worker and healer. Um, I work with energy weaving, somatic guidance, and part space work. I guess I want this to feel more like a journal entry where it feels very raw and organic and not very scripted, or I guess scripted and detailed is kind of the words that I'm looking for. I don't want it to feel like that. I want it to feel like I'm having a conversation with whoever is watching. And so, yeah, I guess today maybe I'll talk a little bit about my journey as to how I got to this place and how I got to this work. So I guess for my entire life, I have struggled with really bad anxiety and depression. I faced a lot of narcissistic, like figures in my life, and that caused a lot of trauma, and I suffered from a lot of psychological and emotional abuse as a kid. And from that, obviously, there was a massive domino effect as to the person I was showing up as I was growing up and entering adulthood. I intellectualized a lot of my emotions. Even though I was always a very sensitive child, as I started getting older, I started really intellectualizing my emotions. I was so active in my mind, and I didn't know how to connect back again with my body. My body never felt like a very safe place for me. And so, with all of that said, I dissociated a lot. I was never really present in the world. And I had huge abandonment wounds and a huge victim mentality. And so, with all of that combined, I was just very lost in the world. Especially as I started entering adulthood, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't think, I don't feel, I can't be in my body. I don't know what anything is. So I started my healing journey. And after numerous accounts of amazing people who have helped me along this journey, I really began to reconnect to my true self and re-experience the world through a perspective that I have never met before. And that was joy and really finding safety in my body. And with all of that combined, I really began to find my own gifts, and a lot of that was very intuitive ability to work with energy, work with the body, and begin to move out things that were stuck, and begin to realign my mind, body, heart, soul, and the infinite amount of parts of me that exist. And I am very far from ever even being at the end goal, but more so that I am probably now in a place of my life where I have learned so much about this work that I have decided I'm ready to start supporting people in this work. But I take it very much from a place of organic dynamic. I don't pretend that I know better. I very much allow for your body to tell me what to do, and tell you what to do, because out of this entire journey, the one thing I've learned is that us as beings, as a consciousness, are so intelligent, and so great at healing ourselves, that every experience is individual, every experience is unique, and the only way to truly hack the codes and learn and transform and receive the knowledge is through finding that power within us to learn and to heal and to trust that intuitive guidance that we all have. And that is the one thing that I have found in myself is so amazing about the body and so amazing about us as humans, is how we can do this and how our essence in presence and being and flow allows for us to be infinite in possibility. It is not a matter of how much education you have in one specific area. It's not a matter of how much you've sat in something and done and learned and practiced. It is a matter of really returning to you in your home, in your body, and allowing for it to speak. And that's where the core of healing, the root of healing really can begin, is allowing for that initial tap, allowing for that initial word, allowing for that initial wisdom to come through, and taking it and running with it. And that's what allows for our bodies to get louder. And I think that especially for people who have experienced trauma, they are often silenced into not trusting themselves and allowing for power to be given to others. And even if it's not necessarily that they mold into others' opinions and shapes, it's more from a perspective of allowing others to hold power over them. So even if I say something that's setting a boundary, or I step into something and it's very me, I'm expecting a reaction. I'm expecting validation. And oftentimes with people who have experienced trauma, those are the cycles that they begin, where their power is just depleted, and it's hidden, and it's hidden for a right reason. It's hidden to protect. It's hidden to keep us safe. It's hidden to allow us to survive the experiences that we had. And when we unlock that true power within us, that's when we become unstoppable, because that's when we begin to trust in ourselves. Because our power is our intuition, it's our trust, it's our essence of who we are. And when I say power, I don't mean aggressive, forced power. I mean soft, balanced trust in ourselves, in our beings, in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our movements, our actions. It's that's the true essence of power. And so that's something that I have been working on in myself, and it has been such a fun journey and so terrifying, but it has been so wonderful. And recently I created a mind map about this powerlessness that we can often, I need to find it now, but that we often experience. And again, it's not me saying that this is the case for everyone, but more that I want to share how my work kind of comes in. So the root and the core wound of all of this in our solar plexus, in our power center, which sits right here, is powerlessness. Then that's the root wound of what I'm talking about. And when that is the core wound of what we have, there, for me, was a deep abandonment wound. So, because I experienced abandonment as a child, there was this deep wound in me that people were going to abandon me. So I had to mold myself into what I thought other people wanted, or into their expectations, into their values, and not bring my power out because I was terrified of people leaving me. Now, the part that I had to remember, which is the core of healing, is remembering who we are, remembering our essence. The part that I had to remember was that the power was in me, that my fulfillment was in me, that my value was in me. It wasn't in the other people surrounding me. It wasn't in the validation of my opinion. It wasn't in the validation through material gifts. It wasn't in the validation of others' words or actions or touch or emotions. It was in me. That I had the power in me enough to show up as me, to show up in my thoughts, my own feelings, my own morals, my own perspectives and expectations, and express them freely, kindly, and lovingly. But that abandonment wound cut my power, and I fed into that dynamic for a very long time. And that led to my own tree branch of things, and one of those things was my lack of self-worth, a huge amount of self-blame, and a huge amount of lack of self-love, and a huge victim mentality, where it was so much easier for me to be like, look what happened to me, and now I'm small, I can't be who I want to be because of everything that's happened to me. And that's the key, to me. And it is not that you are denying yourself the experiences. That's not victim mentality, where you allow yourself to admit what happened to you. That is what I call a whole other perspective, but it is allowing yourself to admit what happened to you. It is allowing yourself to admit your trauma. But then there's that very, very fine line where things happen to you and your power is now in the others. It's in the experience. It's not, this was the experience and now I'm going to take my power back and I'm going to take the experience as healing and allow myself to experience the pain, experience the shame, experience the trauma, and move it out and feel it out and let it out. That's the true flow of what happens, but we're not taught that. We are taught, stay quiet, stay this, stay that, stay small, stay teeny tiny, and don't remember your power, and instead give your power to everyone else and stay in your victim mentality where everything happened to you. But the core of this is that when we bring our power back, things don't happen to us anymore. They happened outside of us. We witnessed that. We witnessed and experienced that trauma because of other people's incapable ability to give us love and treat us right. And that's okay. But we hold in ourselves that love. We hold in ourselves that power. We hold in ourselves that regulation. And we hold in ourselves the power enough to say no, to say stop, to say run, to say go, whatever it is that we need to do and say, we hold that power. And they don't hold the power over us. That experience doesn't hold the power over us. We have the ability to heal that within us as one, through a regulated system, through a regulated process, and through allowing the emotions to be in motion. That was a lot. The other thing is that power and value, as I said, putting that into others, and how that can often manifest itself in a fear of vulnerability, in a fear of being seen, and a fear of self, or making yourself small. So there's elements to this and symptoms to this powerlessness root, the core of what it is. It's powerlessness, and it manifests itself into branches and symptoms, and it often can express itself in the physical body. What we often miss out on is that we treat these symptoms and we don't go any further. But at these symptoms, at these surface level experiences and manifestations of trauma, they're easy to sit with. It's when we get into the layers and the core, and we go down and down and down, and we find the core of the powerlessness. That's where we really begin the work. That's where we really begin the transformation, because we begin to bring our power back. And once that power comes back and it starts to manifest, all of a sudden, this stays strong. And these physical symptoms that are manifested in our reality, in our experiences, and how we're engaging, isn't as intense anymore. And that can be sat with and moved and transitioned and transformed pretty easily, because we're allowing ourselves to stay in that power, stay strong to who we are, and know who we are. I hope that makes sense. I'm still learning how to fully put my words of what I'm learning and what I receive